Stacey, was he too careless, Donald Trump, with the corona pandemic, both from a public health perspective and with regard to his own health?
Well, critics would say absolutely. He mocked the idea of wearing a mask. He rarely wore one in public. Only when he was high pressured to do so did he. He continued to hold these mass rallies, or as big of rallies as he could. The Rose Garden is an example of this, where he nominated his Supreme Court nominee, Amy Coney Barrett, and very few people were wearing masks. And it wasn't just outdoors, the ceremony was also indoors. And people were hugging and they were very close. And this is the kind of thing that the president encourages, because he wants us to move away from the fact that we are in the middle of a pandemic, because it's not good for him politically. So, and then we also know about the Bob Woodward interview. We've heard the tapes where he knew on February 7th that this was a highly contagious disease, airborne, and he did very little in regards to mobilizing a federal response and preparing the American people with the truth of what we are dealing with and where do we go from here.
We're talking about the campaign. What effect will his illness have on his campaign, on his chances to get re-elected?
There are so many questions that are still in the air. This is so new for everybody. So the brief answer is I'm not sure, but I know that...
So what would be one scenario then?
Well, one scenario is that we know that his campaign has canceled a lot of the activities that he was involved in. Mike Pence may have to step up and do more. For the debate, for example, that's scheduled for October 15th, against his challenger, Vice President Joe Biden, his sickness falls within that 14-day window where you're supposed to wait and be quarantined. Mm-hmm. So the question is, do they move the debate, which is possible? Do they have it something where it's online, where the men are completely separated? We just have to wait and see. Those questions haven't been answered yet.
He will definitely miss out on the campaign events that he thrives in, the big rallies where everybody's wearing MAGA hats and,
yes.
and all that.
Yeah.
Don't you think that that will have a significant effect, that his supporter base might be disheartened in a way?
I was going to say, they will feel dejected, I'm sure, because wearing the mask and how you respond to the coronavirus in the United States has become extremely political. And if their main guy that supports their cultural issues isn't out there warring for them, I'm sure that this will hurt his campaign. He's not able to go out and do the certain things. And Mike Pence, while he has been a very solid number two, he doesn't have the same charisma. Whether you like Trump or not, he does have a charisma, and Mike Pence doesn't have that. So we'll just have to see what happens. I also wanted to note that this really brings to the forefront that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are both men in their 70s. Mm. And so this really puts a lot of pressure on Kamala Harris and on Mike Pence to do extremely well at their debates, because they could easily step in and be the president of the United States. So this is something that we're all thinking about. In addition, I should say, when we're talking about publicity and the election, Joe Biden has agreed, or he already has done this, to pull his negative campaign ads about Donald Trump. And the Donald Trump campaign said they're not doing the same. So they're going to fight the way that they can without the president being at forefront.
You're talking about the Democrats' campaign. There's a bit of a tricky issue there. Can they benefit from it, and how?
Well, I think they benefit in the fact that Joe Biden looks like a leader. He got in front of the cameras yesterday and was wearing a mask and was speaking not just like he'd be the representative of blue states and constigate red states. He was focused on America in general and everybody coming together and doing what needs to be done to contain the virus. And I think that this is the leadership that a lot of Americans wanted to see, and they did not see this from Donald Trump.
We've also had speculation that the elections themselves could be postponed. Is that realistic?
I don't believe that that is highly realistic. There have been so many fights to keep this election going. people are afraid that their votes are going to be disenfranchised anyway. Some people are voting early. Some have started voting last week. So I don't think that the election will be postponed. What will be postponed are the official numbers. It's just impossible because so many people are mailing in their ballots because of the coronavirus. So we wouldn't get the results on November 3rd anyway, which technically we don't get, but we usually have an idea based off of exit polling. But because of the way things are right now with the coronavirus, it's impossible to have a definite winner on November 3rd.
Let's just remind viewers that we are waiting for a statement by the doctor who's treating the US President Donald Trump in Washington on the health status of the president. I'm here joined by Stacey Bivens from our US election team. Stacey, let's go back. We've discussed that before, but his health at the moment, we're waiting for an update from his doctor. But what can we say about his health right now?
Okay, right now we know that he's been suffering from problems breathing, and this is the congestion associated with problems with the coronavirus. But we're told that his symptoms are mild. He had a low-grade fever, and he was a little tired. This is why he was tested again in the first place. And we should also mention that he hits some high-risk categories, which makes it a little bit more difficult to recover from the coronavirus. He's 74 years old, he's clinically obese, and he's had problems with his cholesterol. So all of these things play a factor in his health.
Stacey, thank you so far.